There's a version of apartment dog ownership that gets shared on social media all the time. The golden retriever curled up on a linen couch, the French bulldog in a tote bag at the farmer's market, the rescue pup who somehow sleeps 18 hours a day and never bothers anyone. And then there's what it actually looks like. Noise complaints at 7 a.m. A security deposit you're not getting back. A dog who hasn't been outside since Tuesday because it was raining and you had back-to-back meetings. Nobody's lying to you. They're just leaving out the hard parts. And today, we're going to cover all of them. Here's the thing almost every first-time apartment dog owner gets wrong. They pick the breed based on size. Small apartment, small dog. Makes sense, right? Except it's completely backwards. A Border Collie the size of a shoebox would still drive you to the edge of your sanity in a studio flat. Not because of space, but because of energy. Border Collies were bred to herd sheep across miles of open terrain for 10 hours a day. Your apartment hallway is not the Scottish Highlands. Meanwhile, a Greyhound, one of the fastest dogs alive, is often called the world's fastest couch potato. Off the track, most Greyhounds sleep 16 to 18 hours a day. They need 2 short walks, they don't bark much, and they adapt to small spaces better than a lot of toy breeds. The breeds that consistently do well in apartments are the ones with moderate to low energy and a calm indoor temperament. Basset Hounds, Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, Shih Tzus, French Bulldogs, with some caveats around health costs we'll get to in a minute. The breeds that struggle, no matter the square footage, are the working and herding dogs. Australian Shepherds, Huskies, Jack Russell Terriers. These dogs are not happy without a job. And if you don't give them one, they'll find one. Usually, it involves your couch cushions. The number one reason apartment dog owners get complaints, and in some cases evicted, is not mess, it's noise. And this is where a lot of people get blindsided. Because their dog was completely quiet during the 20-minute meet with the breeder, or the adoption centre visit. Then they bring the dog home, go to work for the first time, and their downstairs neighbour texts them at 10 a.m. asking if everything is okay, because the crying hasn't stopped. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Frontiers in Veterinary Science found that around 17% of dogs show clinical signs of separation anxiety. But that's the diagnosed number. Behavioural researchers estimate the real figure, when you include mild to moderate distress, is closer to 40%. In a house, this is a problem. In an apartment with shared walls, a floor below and a ceiling above, it's a lease-ending problem. The fix is not getting a second dog to keep the first one company, which is the advice you'll find on half the pet forums out there. 2 anxious dogs are not twice as calm, they're twice as loud. What actually works is a structured desensitization process. You start by leaving for 30 seconds, then 2 minutes, then 10. Over weeks, not days, you build the dog's tolerance to solitude. It takes time, but it's the difference between a dog that copes and a dog that costs you your housing. Here's the calculation nobody does before they adopt. A medium energy dog needs somewhere between 45 and 90 minutes of real exercise per day. Not a slow walk around the block where they sniff everything, actual physical exertion. A brisk 30-minute walk in the morning, another in the evening, and some form of play or mental stimulation in between. Now map that onto an apartment lifestyle. You have no backyard, no door you can open and let the dog run around while you make coffee. Every single potty break, every walk, every enrichment session requires you to leash up, take an elevator or stairs, go outside, rain, snow, 95-degree heat, every day. A lot of people handle this fine for the first few months because everything is new and exciting. The adoption honeymoon is real. It's around month 4 or 5 when the novelty starts to wear off and the routine sets in and things start to slip. The dog starts gaining weight, getting destructive at night, barking more during the day, and the owner doesn't always connect the dots back to under-exercise because the dog is still getting walks. The solution here is not willpower, it's infrastructure. If you travel for work even once a month, you need a dog walker before you adopt, not after the first emergency. If your building doesn't have a dog park or green space within a short walk, that matters. If your schedule involves 10-hour days, a high-energy dog is not a compromise you can make work. Building a support system around your dog is not a luxury. In an apartment, it's a requirement. If you're finding this useful, subscribe. We cover dog ownership, training and behaviour every week, and we don't sugarcoat it. Now let's talk about the financial side, because this is where a lot of people get caught off guard. Nobody budgets for what apartment dog ownership actually costs. They budget for food and vet visits. They forget almost everything else. Start with the apartment itself. Pet deposits in most cities run between $200 and $500. Monthly pet rent is now standard in most urban buildings, anywhere from $25 to $75 per month. On a 3-year lease, that's potentially $2,700 in pet rent alone, before your dog has even seen a vet. Then there's the dog walker. If you work full-time and your dog can't be alone for 8 hours without a break, that's a minimum of 1 midday walk per day. In most major cities, that runs $20 to $30 per visit, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. You're looking at $5,000 to $7,000 annually just so your dog can use the bathroom while you're at the office. Add in doggy daycare on heavy work weeks, obedience classes, grooming if your breed requires it, and the occasional piece of furniture the dog decided wasn't worth keeping. The first year of apartment dog ownership, done properly, costs most people between $3,000 and $5,000 beyond the adoption or purchase fee. That's not a reason not to do it, but it is a reason to go in with a real number in your head, not an optimistic one. One section of your lease that a surprising number of renters have never actually read is the pet clause. And buried in that clause are details that can genuinely affect whether you keep your dog or your apartment. Breed restrictions are the first one. Pit bulls, Rottweilers, German Shepherds, Dobermans and Akitas are restricted in a significant portion of rental properties in the United States. Some buildings extend that list further. If your dog is a mixed breed, the question of whether they look like a restricted breed is subjective. And that subjectivity does not favour you in a dispute. Weight limits are the second one. A common threshold is 25 to 30 pounds. If you adopt a puppy without knowing the adult weight and that dog grows past your building's limit, you may have a lease violation on your hands 6 months in. The practical advice here is simple. Before you adopt, reread the pet addendum in full. Call your building manager and get the breed policy in writing if there's any ambiguity. And if you're looking for a new apartment, prioritise buildings where the pet policy is clear and reasonable over buildings with good views and hostile fine print. Here's what none of this is meant to say. That apartment dogs don't work. They absolutely do. Millions of people do it well, and their dogs are healthy, happy, and well adjusted. But the ones who do it well went in with clear eyes. They picked a breed based on temperament, not Instagram. They did the separation anxiety work before it became a neighbour complaint. They built the exercise routine into their week before the adoption, not after. They read the lease and did the real math on what it would cost. The romantic version of apartment dog ownership is real. It's just the second chapter. The first one is harder than most people advertise. If you do that first chapter right, the rest of it, the morning walks, the couch sharing, the weird comfort of something living and breathing, happy to see you every single day, that part lives up to everything you imagined. If you want to go deeper on separation anxiety training specifically, I break down the full 8-week protocol in the video on the screen right now. It covers everything from crate training to departure cues to what to do if your dog has already developed a pattern. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.